In 2023, the rates are changing drastically, and we really need to find out the best, most profitable way for us as consumers to save on our car insurance. How do we keep the coverage where we want them to be, but pay less out of pocket? There's just so much happening. Let's dive in to the ways that you can save on your car insurance without giving up all of the things that you need. The first step that you need to take is you need to determine what coverages you have. At the end of this video, I'll actually link my Auto 101 and Home 101 so you can go over those to determine what's the best coverage that you should be carrying. For now, let's kind of create a cheat sheet. So if you go online and you ever read a review, there's all these companies saying, here's the best, here's the best. And they're very common. You're going to see like a USAA in the beginning. You're going to see an Allstate, a State Farm, a Geico, a Nationwide. Those guys are all kind of the big box. It almost leads you to believe like, okay, are they paying to be there? And they kind of half are, right? They're exclusive and they've got a ton of money going into marketing, and these companies want to grab that. That doesn't mean that they're bad companies, but it just shows you that there's so much data out there that it's hard to know which ones to trust. So knowing that you need to determine what you need to cover is probably the biggest thing. And the reason I say that is because it does play a huge factor on the cost. There are companies that are a lower risk type of insurance company, so they're only a good fit if you have zero claims, zero accidents, you have a home, you have 2 cars, you have a really good insurance score. Like, they are looking for no problems. They're going to give a really good price for that, and they're going to make sure that they're not necessarily insuring the areas that they don't want to insure. That's one of the biggest rating factors you'll see in a lot of my videos is location plays a huge factor. If you don't fit all those demographics, then those ones aren't the ones you should be looking at. Most to all of the companies that you're going to look at are going to be more of your mid-tier. They're called standard types of insurance, and that's your typical company. That's where everybody in most cases want to be. Even the higher class ones will start to take in some of the standard policies just because it kind of fits. You're going to pay a few dollars more, and the risk is fairly low. You can have a ticket or you can have one accident, preferably not at fault, and they're going to be priced perfectly there. And then you've got your lower tiered or your non-preferred type of insurance, and that's for people like when I was a kid. I was 2 speeding tickets, an at-fault accident, a not at-fault accident, so there's just a ton of stuff on my record when I was younger. I'm not going to get a good price in the mid or high tier companies where the preferred, the standard, I would be a better fit for a non-preferred. That's where your Progressives and your Geicos and your National Generals and the Direct General and all of those guys kind of play in that factor. They're all trying to be that mid-tier, but they just tend to come in competitive and that more less preferred. That being said, that's the framework that we need to live in. So when you're looking at your current policy, you need to question, are you in that same framework? Should you be with a different company over that one? If you are unsure, I'll put a link in the description below. Go ahead and fill out a quote, and I'll try to connect you with either an agent or one of my companies that I work with that helps shop multiple companies. It's good to see kind of like the whole spectrum to see if there are ones that are better fits. So we've got our framework. We know where we're at. And for most of you watching this, you're going to fit right in that middle tier. There's a few pieces that we need to be very careful with on the discounts. One thing I want to get out of your mind is that you actually going up in coverage doesn't always cost more. Sometimes it costs less. The other piece that you've got to think about is how much do I pay? There's a percentage base of what I pay to how much can a discount give me. If you look at discounts in insurance, they're usually percentages. They're not just $10 off, $50 off, whatever the case is. You got to match that with the coverage that you have. And it gets a little bit complicated when we're looking at it from this angle. The thing that you're looking at is if you have to get the best fit, because the prices have gone up 10 or more % across the board, pretty much everywhere, where the national average was in the 1500s is now closer to 17 and 1800 for the year for full coverage. It's about a third that if you're going to do PLPD. So if you're going down that road, you're not going to see as big of an impact because the risk isn't very high. Either way, we've got to look at the total package of what we're doing and figure, okay, so if I have certain discounts, can I qualify for them? Not necessarily with the company I have, but if it's not with them, is there another company that gives me that discount? That's where more of the specific, am I an alumni? Am I an engineer? Are you a CPA? Do you have certain clubs? Sometimes being a motorcycle club member. And those will give you 3% off or 5% off. I've seen even 15% off. Just those. And that's without bundling home, auto, and all of that stuff. So that's really the second piece I would look at is what kind of discounts would you qualify for? I'll try to put in the description below because I only have so many links I can put in the end of a video that will give you more of that. Actually, if you go to my homepage, there's a first video that plays, and I think it's called the 10 or 11 discounts, and it goes over the specific discounts that we're almost referencing. So now that we've kind of figured that maybe we are good with the company we have, maybe Allstate is the best fit for me, maybe I really like my agent, maybe Nationwide, or maybe Progressive, I just like where I'm at. So you, one, can look at those pieces and determine if there are better fits for you there, but let's look at some of the other things that you can do. Some companies have different programs. So look at the package that you have as well. Usually on your declarations page, there's a section for discounts. There's also a section for affiliates. If you have affiliates and it's blank, it might make sense to hop on Google, type in your insurance company, and then type any affiliation discount. That should come up with some of the companies that you can maybe join or you're already part of that can give you an extra discount. If you haven't looked at bundling the home and the auto in the last year to 2 years, it's changed. Your house honestly needs to be revamped anyways because the cost of materials have gone up. And I know we're not trying to raise the price, but we want to make sure you're also covered correctly too. I've seen some companies over this last 12 months go up 15 to 20% on the home alone, but nothing on the auto. It might make sense to see if a combination with one or the different company is going to be a better option for you. The negative side to this is if you're going to work with your specific agent, I've got to be honest with you, insurance agents are great or horrible. There's usually no in between. A lot of agents will make up stuff and just tell you whatever you need to hear to make you go away. They're just the throw you against the wall, see if you stick. If you stick, great. If you don't, they're working on something else. More of the agency that we work with, or a lot of the agents that I personally have used and dealt with, are more of the type that want to actually dive in and take the extra time. Do we love it? No, I don't love it if someone asks me about a coverage that I have no clue about, and now I got to call the underwriter, look it up in the manual, and it takes me a half hour to do it. But it's worth it because I've promised that to a customer. And that's where a lot of these service people come into hand to where they can be a big benefit. It might make sense for you to call the service department and go over discounts versus the agent. Sometimes it's good to do both because the service end sees that part of it all the time, and the agent end sees the beginning part of it. How do I build the coverages up? How do I get the discounts in initially? These guys might see, oh, there's a secret discount here. Oh, I see when this guy did this, it changed. That's the other piece that you can look at as far as your current company. As we mentioned before, knowing the coverage and the prices and all of that stuff plays a factor. Just a warning for those that do shop, if you are shopping around and you're looking for different options, be mindful of the coverage that you have versus the coverage that you're getting. A lot of times someone will lower your liability and the cost will go down, but then when it renews at the same liability, the cost will go up because the risk has changed. And don't let a company just get you a cheaper deal and lower the coverage when you could probably find a different company that's better fit in that scenario. The number one discount in insurance is if you bundle. I actually had a customer just Friday that called in. We're doing tons of quotes. He's a lot like me when I was younger and has a horrible driving record, a couple at-fault accidents, a couple speeding tickets, and he's part of a group. Pulling him out of that group makes him way more expensive because he's now fallen off of the parents and the other person's policy. But if we bundle and add a renter's policy, because he's paying so much, and we're talking $300-ish a month, it cuts it down by 20%. So now what was $300 is $250 or $240, plus you got to add the renters in, so about $20 a month. So it actually netted them a better price, but gave them a ton of extra coverage that could benefit them if something major happens. Your next step that you should be looking at is what discounts specifically could you qualify for? I'm going to link a video here that goes over the discounts. If you're more interested in finding out what coverages are which and what coverages you should carry, I'm going to put my Insurance 101 there as well. Go ahead and check out whichever one fits you best next. Follow the path that gets you the best route to get the right coverage and get the right discounts. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.